How's it going, guys? My name is Dan Wynn, and I'd like to welcome you to another episode of my Financial Freedom Journal. I'd like to start by saying thank you to everyone who has liked, commented, shared, and subscribed my YouTube page as well as my Financial Freedom Facebook page. I really appreciate that. Thank you very much. I've enjoyed all the conversations I've had with you all who have reached out to me just asking questions. If you need to reach out to me, if you have a question covering anything I'm going over today or any of the past videos, please don't hesitate to reach out to me. Look at the link below. It'll give you all the information you need. Go ahead and reach out and let's have a conversation. So what we're going to cover today is the multifamily BRRRR. And what I'm going to do with this is basically give you real life numbers, real life scenario of what I did on my last deal. These are like no shit numbers from my last deal and exactly and how I applied the BRRRR strategy to complete that transaction. All right. So the agenda is I'm going to basically follow the BRRRR format to cover this last deal, and I'm going to go over the buy, the rehab, the rent, the refi, and the repeat section of it. So with that, let's go ahead and jump into it. All right, so this is my third deal, and it is 2 duplexes sitting on a 1-acre lot. And each of the units are 2-bedroom, 2-bathroom. It's about 1,000 square feet per unit. So total 4,000 square feet total, 8-bedroom, 8-bathroom complex. And this is what it was. So I purchased this 4-unit for $87,500. They were asking for a lot more, but if you look at my last video where I go over the buy strategy, I kind of throw lowball offers out there just to see what sticks. I have written a few other offers during that time, but this one came back and it actually stuck. So my budget for this 4-unit was, after doing an inspection and a walkthrough with a contractor, my budget was $53,000. It needed new roofs. It needed new flooring. It had holes in the freaking ceiling. It had all the AC units in the back were all taken out. Someone had taken the copper, because it was left abandoned for a little while. So, but it was in a pretty decent, nice area. I saw the potential in it, and I figured I could get some good rent off of it. I saw what it cash flowed, what I could pick it up for, and what I needed to put into it, and the numbers just made sense. So I went after it, and so the budget was $53,000, which means my all-in is $140,000, $140,500 was my all-in price. All right, so how I financed this was with I had a lender. Basically, I had to put roughly 30% down. Out of pocket, I put $40,000 down. So if I did the math correctly, I think it's roughly like 30% down. And the lender came in and gave me the other $100,000 to do the rehab and for the initial purchase. All right, so went ahead and did that. So going over the partner with a lender, how I partnered with my lender, he took 12% interest-only loan. So that's what my loan to him was over the life of that me doing the project. So the project was supposed to only take 4 months. It ended up taking 11 months. I'll get into that in the contractor woes here. So, but took 11 months. So he got roughly $900 throughout those 11 months. It was roughly 12%. And he, one of the advantages for him was, one, he got paid 12% on his money. 2, his down payment or his loan was tied to an actual asset. He was the first lien holder on the home, so his money was tied to an asset. And then also, he realized this was better than stock. So he found a person like me who was willing to do the work. He puts down the money, and we partner together, and that's how we were able to do it. And it worked out in both of our favors. So he got his $900 payment, 12%. Throughout 10 months, plus he got all his money back at the end of it as well. So it's a great investment. That's that. All right, so contractor woes. Man, this property was so difficult for me. It was a huge learning experience. So this was the first one that I did outside of that I had done from a distance. I managed this one from a distance. I lived in Savannah, and I was, the actual property was like 400 to 500 miles away. So I had to create a brand new team with this contractor. I didn't go over budget. However, my time, like I said, it was supposed to only be a 4-month project. It ended up being 11 months. I had to go through lawsuits. I had to, I had to fire him. I actually went through 3 different contractors before I found a really good one. You got to be careful with these contractors. If you need some product, I have a lot of product as far as lien waivers and like other example contracts and some addendums that you might want to add to a contractor's contract that he submits to you. So I have a few things that you might want to watch out for. If you're actually doing a deal, if you're transacting a deal, just reach out to me and I'll shoot those to you in an email. It's too easy. So contractor woes, just be careful dealing with contractors. I'd say about 80% of the contractors out there are good, but there's 20% that's really, really bad. And those guys are going out there and they're screwing over a lot of people, giving a bad name to contractors. So just be careful when you're dealing with contractors. All right, so rent. So I'm going to talk about this Win property management. What I had, I went ahead and did the rehab. Like I already said, it took 11 months. I set up my own property management. So I got a 1-800 number. I had all the property management software systems. So, guys can come in and if my tenants could go into their tenant portal and, submit a work request or pay their rent. I had all that set up. I still kind of have it set up, but I don't really use it that much. But it just became to be such a huge hassle. It's 8% to hire a property manager, 8% of the gross rents. I'll kind of hit that here in a second. But it's 8% of the gross rent, so it basically, equaled $200. So it was my time I felt was worth more than $200. So I cut that out, the property management out, and I went ahead and hired a property manager, just outsourced it. All right, so going into the numbers for the actual rent, what I'm pulling in on this property, gross monthly rental income. My gross monthly rental income is $2,500 a month. My monthly operating expenses totals out to be $660 a month. Basically, my NOI is my gross rents minus my operating expenses, right? So my NOI was $1840. So that's what my rent income looks like. My NOI every single month is $1840. Now, mind you, this does not include my debt service. My debt service is basically the mortgage that I put on the home. I'll cover that next. All right, so going over the refi, you have your appraised value. And what that is once you're done with the rehab portion and you have some tenants, someone will come out to do a new appraisal of your property to see how much it's actually worth now, all things considered, right? So I did this. I assumed that from doing my research, talking to a bunch of different realtors, everybody gave me how much they thought they're utilizing my team. They gave me how much they thought my property would be valued at based off of everything that was going on in the area, the actual area itself. I assumed that it was going to be $155,000, $155,000. It did not appraise for what I wanted it to. It actually appraised for $135,000. Typically, when I do these deals, I want to get some of my out-of-pocket money back, at least 60% of it back. Basically, what happened was the appraisers that came out, there wasn't any other 4 units like my 4 unit. Remember, I said it was 2 duplexes on a 1 acre lot, so they didn't have any good comparisons to compare it to. And with that, they pretty much made an assessment that they thought it was worth $135,000. I had 2 different appraisers come out. They both appraised it similar. One appraised it a little bit higher. One appraised it a little bit lower. They took the middle number, and it ended up being $135,000. It happens. So my cash out refi, so 75% of $135 ends up being $101,250. All right, so I put it in this order on purpose. I was able to take out $101,250 on my $135,000 appraisal at a 75% loan to value cash out refi, right? So my total out of pocket money, I just put this OPM. My total out of pocket money used is the $140 all-in price plus the 40 that are minus the 40 that I already put in. And what that equates to is $101,250 $100,500, right? So what that means is I got this amount of money, but I put this amount of money in. So there's a small difference there. It's like 1,000 and something change. But after closing and after other little small fees that it was incurred on this cash out refi, I ended up taking out $750. So I walked away with $750. Typically, this cash out refi payout, I want this to equal at least 60%, or at least 60% of my out-of-pocket money. You see, my new debt service, which is the mortgage, which is my PITI, my principal, interest, taxes, and insurance, right, is $850 a month. All right, so tying it all together, I'm going to go over this in the repeat section. I'm going to give you the so what, the most important things that you want out of this deal, what you're looking for. One, you want to know what your cash flow is. Two, you want to know what your cash on cash return is. And then three, you're going to want to know how long is it going to take for me to get my money out of this deal. Basically, I put time until infinite cash flow, right? So, and then I'm also going to hit the debt pay down and how it's relative to your net worth. All right, so going over the deal, I'm kind of going to take a knee here, going over the cash flow. The cash flow is your NOI minus your debt service, right? That is your monthly cash flow, and then I'm going to times it by 12 to give you your yearly cash flow. Give my calculator here. All right, so your monthly cash flow is going to be $990. Times that by 12 to get your yearly cash flow, and that's $11,880. All right. So your cash on cash return. Why is your cash on cash return important? Basically, it's your return on investment relative to how much money you actually put into it, how much cash I put into it. So how I'm going to calculate this? The way I'm going to calculate this is I'm going to divide my yearly cash flow into the amount of money that I put into it. So I put $40,000 into it, but on the refi I got $750 back. So I'll subtract that. That gives me $39,250. And I'm going to divide $11,880 by $39,250. What that gives me is, it's going to give me a percentage, which is 30.3%. So basically, I'm making 30% on the amount of money that I put into this deal, right, year over year. All right, now time until infinite cash flow. Why is this so important? This is important because I want to know how long it's going to take me to get all of my money back out of this deal so I can put it into another deal, basically. All right, so the way I calculate that is I'm going to divide 39,250 by 11,880. Divide that, and that gives me roughly 3 years and 4 months until I have all of my money out of this deal. So 3 years and 4 months is going to take me to get all my money out of this deal, and then at that point, every single penny that I make on this deal is infinite cash flow because I no longer have any money into this deal at all. All right, so the goal is to do several deals similar to this. You take your cash out refi, hopefully, you'll get a better appraisal and get, roughly 60% of the original amount of money that you put into the deal back. And that'll significantly increase your cash on cash return and more than likely will also decrease the time to infinite cash flow as well. My first deal, I'll put a video out on it later, but basically I made money off the refi and I was able to, the first dollar that I made on rental income was already infinite cash flow. So it was a great deal, single family deal down in Jacksonville. All right, so now let me hit the debt pay down. All right, so now this is important because this is how your net worth increases exponentially. So we already talked about market appreciation and forced appreciation in my last video. So market appreciation, again, is just basically the amount of money that your home increases in value through external factors, basically just through time, right? Typically real estate market increases roughly anywhere between 3 and 6% every single year. Your asset will increase in value. So just keep that in mind when we're talking about your net worth. What we're going to do is we're just going to calculate your net worth relative to debt pay down. And when I say debt pay down, is basically your tenants are going to be paying down the debt of your property. All right. So right now I have a mortgage right now I have 25% worth of equity in the home. I have roughly $34,000 worth of equity in this home. I added $34,000 worth of $34,000 to my net worth just by executing this property, right? Now, after every 5 years, a tenant will typically pay roughly $10,000 down off the debt of your home. So I looked at my amortization calculator. I did all the calculations, and I looked at it, and roughly every 5 years, about $10,000 is paid off of my new loan, the loan that I refied. So basically, after year 15, my mortgage will be $67,600, right? So let's do 135 minus 67. All right, so that's $68,000 that is added to your net worth in 15 years. Now that's assuming that the appraisal doesn't increase at all on your asset. Now how likely is that to happen over a 15-year period of time? Slim to none. So I don't really count it in any of my equations at all. However, it's safe to assume that your asset, pending it's in a nice area and you've done your research. Go back to the buy portion. I kind of go over how I look at markets. I analyze markets. As long as you analyze the market right, more than likely your asset will increase in value. So $135,000, say in 15 years, let's be very, very conservative and say it only increased $10,000 over a 15-year period. So now my asset is appraised at $145,000, but I only owe $67,000 on it. So now, that's $78,000 worth of money that's $70,000 worth of money added onto my net worth. So, and that's just through one deal. Now, mind you, by the way, after 3 years and 4 months, I no longer have any money into this deal. This money is going to continue to generate an income as long as I have it. I'm going to pass this down to my kids. This is probably both of my kids' tuition this way. Even if I just saved the money, the $11,800, the roughly $12,000 every single year. I mean, that's both of my kids' tuition right there in 10 years. So I mean, this is the power of real estate. I mean, I went over the broad stroke of the BRRRR strategy and how it can add to your net worth and bring you financial freedom. This is an example of it. This is just one of the deals I've done. I just got a new 4 unit that I'm working the same strategy on right now, and it's turned out to be really good. I'm like 70% done with it. So, yeah, I mean, going to continue to do this. I'll do another video on my goals, but that's it. I hope you enjoyed the video. These are real life numbers. These are my actual numbers. I'm opening up and sharing this with you. Again, my intent behind doing all of this is to give you the tools that you need to go out and create wealth and to attain your own financial freedom, right? So that's pretty much it. If you have any questions, please don't hesitate to contact me. Again, my name is Dan Nguyen. Look on the video. I have my contact information here. Reach out to me. I will respond back. Again, thank you for watching, and I appreciate it. Dan Nguyen signing out.